NFL radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. Channels vary by subscription plan. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
There's a channel that explodes with pretty guitar texture and perfect pop melodies. SiriusXM Pop Rocks serves up those undeniable 90s anthems, 2K hits, and today's fresh pop finds. Pop Rocks. Turn it up now on Channel 6 and anytime in the all-new SiriusXM app. To hear Pop Rocks, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Did you know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers. App filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
SiriusXM's Joel Osteen Radio.
It set the fire inside of me, and I'm thankful for Joel.
Find your inspiration.
It's just so encouraging. You can't feel down on yourself.
My wife Victoria and I invite you to tune in 24/7 to be encouraged and inspired.
Hope is powerful.
Yes, it is.
If you need a miracle, become a miracle.
Listen to SiriusXM, this channel. Your life will never be the same.
To hear Joel Osteen Radio, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/go.
Year-round in a SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice. You gotta get this. You gotta get this.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. 018-13868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, they voted me neighborhood watch person. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's only 9 million degrees outside on planet Earth. You say you want to go to Mars. You don't have to go to Mars to get 9 million degrees. I want to say on a beautiful Thursday, July the 11th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard in the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide. I do see a lot of people walking around with a wide split in Denver Hills, California. I guess you need a wide split because it's so hot in Denver Hills. But when I thought about it's only about 110 degrees here in Northern California. And then I saw it's 117 degrees in Las Vegas. What is it about Las Vegas that people love? Because everywhere you go, you need to have the AC on. I guess that's what it is. Most places you go, you're going to lose a little bit of money. You can see some entertainment. No matter what it is, 117 degrees in Las Vegas. Man, good luck to the people down there. Hopefully you stay hydrated. That's my story. And I'm taking with it. Got some talk today about what's going on the NBA Finals. The MVP of the NBA Finals. And also of the Eastern Conference Finals. Jaylen Brown. He was bypassed for the United States Olympic team. What? Yeah, he got some good boys on the team, but he didn't get to go for whatever reasons. Brad Hill had his own commentary about it, but that just shows you all's fair in love and war. You have the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, you have the NBA Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown, and he's not able to play to represent his country in the Olympics. I don't know how that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, but you're supposed to have your best players. If you're the MVP and you can't get into your Olympic team, that doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just the way the ball bounces. I'm going to talk about some of the Olympics, how Olympics for African Americans have dominated. I think about the days of Jesse Owens in the 36 Berlin Games and how he dominated against Hitler's Aryan conspiracy, and he realized all life came from the African continent. And it's got to be the shoes. Wasn't even invented at that time. It got to be the shoes. No, it's the black man. It's the black man's feet that made the Berlin Olympics have Hitler come down and say, "Man, how'd you get so fast?" All those lies they told about the eugenics progress. It's a junk theory is all it is. But I'm going to talk about the Olympics and how people are going across the pond to go to Paris, France, for the opening of the Olympic ceremony coming up shortly. And then I got a little bit of history on NFL football. I may get into that too. But not only that, I always champion reparations because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to tell all of you business owners, you want to have a trust. You got to have a trust. If you don't have a trust, what did Captain Kirk say to Spock? He said, "Spock, are the audio Vulcan mind?" Because some people are out of their minds. If they think they can have a business, be worth a few $100,000 or a few million, and they say they don't need a trust. They must be out of that Vulcan mind. I'm trying to add that to my new infomercial for Big C Sports. It's called "Are You Out of Your Vulcan Mind?" You gotta have a trust. That's my story. I'm thinking with it. I tell you, I went to the doctor today, and the doctor said you got symptoms of heat stroke. I said, "Heat stroke?" He said, "Yeah, you got symptoms of heat stroke." And I said, "Why is that? Is that because I can't get out of bed?" I've just been so drained the last couple of days. But it's not me. It's just something happened to me about 20 years ago. And I didn't take it. I didn't take it lightly. But there is times where it just drains you. And I didn't know I was drained because I was asleep. I normally get up every morning about 6 o'clock. But today I woke up about 8:30. It's just bizarre. Sometimes you got to make sure you stay hydrated. And that's what I got to make sure I do. Because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Especially if you're dealing with symptoms of heat stroke. I don't want to take it lightly because they say they took my blood. I said, "My goodness, how much blood you going to take?" They said they got to make sure they got enough blood for the Martians. I said, "Martians?" I said, "Why the Martians need my blood?" They said because black blood has 9 series DNA. That's why they experimented on Harriet Lacks to figure out how they can solve problems and cure diseases. But I don't take that lightly. I got to make sure. I said, I want to know where all my blood is going. That's how they got OJ. Let me not go there. But they said his blood was everywhere. Hey, I'm not saying it. When they take your blood, where do they take your blood? They said they're going to take it to a lab. So they had me walk down then after she took my blood, about 9 gallons, she said, we're going to need a urine sample. I said, urine? It's 9,000 degrees outside. I got no urine. But I found some urine. Okay, there's a trick. I was told a long time ago. If you got to inculcate and it don't want to come out because your body's sweated out everything, then you can turn on the water faucet and it will make it come out. She said, all we need is about 1 inch. I said, 1 inch? That's how much you gonna pay for it? I felt like I was experimented on today, but it's all fair and level war because we gotta do things to keep ourselves healthy. I don't want to be one of those guys that say, well, why didn't he go to the doctor? I don't need no doctor. I didn't want to be that guy that doesn't go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. They took about 9 gallons of blood, and then they told me, can you go urinate? I said, urinate in what? The lady said, can you go urinate? And I urinated in the toilet. She said, sir, that's why we gave you the cup. Oh, blame heat stroke. She said, you urinated in the toilet? I said, yeah, where else do you urinate? She said, are you out of your fucking mind? And I said, well, I guess so. I guess it appears so. Oh, spirit level war. I gotta tell you, I gotta stay hydrated. On Big C Sports Podcast, I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We can all use more laughter in our lives. I know I can use more laughter. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And then I do the play-by-play. Steph Curry down his back to LeBron James for 3. Yes! Get the hole in your life. Steph Curry was doing his thing with LeBron James over there in Paris, France for the Olympic basketball. Doing their thing. Really do appreciate the United States Olympic team, but I don't know how they didn't get Jaylen Brown, the NBA Finals MVP and the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and he's not on the Olympic team. And we have guys that didn't even get to the finals on the Olympic team. That's my story that I'm taking with it. Plus, he I think has the second highest NBA contract, and he didn't get to the Olympics. Something's wrong. We got some teammates of his that went to the Olympics from the Boston Celtics, but he didn't go. Makes no sense to me. I want to also say, I upload every show. It goes out to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And then 4 TV platforms streaming, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. And then number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days at Salem Media. You want to crown them? Crown them. I said, I want winners. I want people who want to win. Like my doctor said to me today, she said, I want blood. I want people who want to give me blood. I said, okay, but just don't take all of it. And then when I left there, I had to go get the Big C Burger. Big C Burger? Yeah, the Big C Burger. It comes with 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and collard greens on a sesame seed bun. It made me say, ooh, yeah! I had to get the ooh, yeah burger because I needed some more. I needed something with blood in it. And I didn't want to do what the lions do. I didn't want to go out to the jungle and try to track down my own gazelle. I just went down to the hamburger shop and got the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, the one with all the exotic meat. I tell you, heat stroke makes you feel like you're funny. I may not be funny, but you can't tell heat stroke that is not funny. I am doing my best to stay hydrated because hydration is the best thing you can do. And that's what I do in Big C Sports Podcast. I want to also say, I want to pay homage like I do on every show to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's nice leaning on somebody when somebody's leaning back. We really do appreciate giving out that Veterans Crisis Hotline number. Also want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. And I've been trying to do my own song that Dr. King put together when he talked about free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. What he really meant to say was reparations at last, thank God Almighty, reparations at last. And that's what Dr. King meant to say. And then they edited his speech, and it came out to free at last. He meant to say reparations at last. Well, that's my story, and I'm taking it. I want to say, for all the people that are out there trying to do the right thing, you got to stay hydrated. Check on the elderly. I even saw when I went to the doctor today, someone left a dog in the car with the windows rolled up. The windows are rolled up to the top. And the dog was in the car just panting and panting and panting. And then the person came out and got the dog. So maybe she was only inside for a few minutes, but I think that's not safe. Who am I to tell someone what to do with their dog? If you have animals, they don't have the same type of sweat glands that we have as people. So just be careful with your animals. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. I do want to say, for all the people that have been giving me some feedback about, Big C, you talk too fast. I said too fast? Yeah, you talk too fast, Big C. And then some people say, Big C, you talk too slow. I said too slow? They say, yeah, you talk too slow. So I'm trying to mix it up to make everybody happy. You can't please everybody, but I do the best I can. Hopefully you can bear with me as I go through my commercial. It's called A Guide to Protect, Preserve, and Transfer Wealth Resource Development Consulting in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of Attorney George Jones. The Missing Link, Long-Term Care, Solutions by the Book, over 3 decades of experience, helping seniors get their benefits, Medicare and You, Taking Care of Tomorrow, Medi-Cal in California, other places called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. I'm telling you, our promise to you, specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without the spend down, just like in Star Trek. Captain Kirk, he says, Scott, what happened to the force fields? He said, well, I took them down because I thought everything was cool in outer space. He said, the Vulcan mine. We're in Romulan territory. He said, open the force fields. He said, why should I raise them? I don't see anybody out there in space. He said, Scotty, the Vulcan mine. You gotta trust the force fields. Just like people gotta trust when they have an estate plan, you gotta have your property in a trust. Protection of your assets without a spend down in California, all paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Not only that, have you ever dealt with someone who had benefits covering skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever dealt with someone who had prescription medications to take? Have you ever dealt with someone who had medical equipment costs and more? Just like when they took 9 gallons of my blood, they have insurance on those places. In fact, I'm going to go back and see if I can quote them the cost for insurance, if that makes sense to you. Protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Just like in Star Wars, where Darth Vader said, Luke, join the dark side. And Luke said, if I join the dark side, how are you going to protect my assets? And Darth Vader told Luke Skywalker, he said, I am your daddy. And Luke said, what? You're not my daddy? And Darth Vader said, Luke, you can feel it. You can feel I am your daddy. I will protect your assets, if that makes sense to you, if you just join the dark side. But Luke Skywalker, he wouldn't listen to his daddy, so he decided not to join the dark side. He didn't want the dark side to protect his assets. And the Death Star can take apart planets, so that's part of why the Death Star needed a trust too. Because when they didn't have a trust called asset protection, they destroyed the Death Star with the X-Wing fighters, if that makes sense to you. I like the RDC team, avoid the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. You bet your assets you better have a trust when you go into probate. If you don't, then the government can take up to 10 to 40% of your assets. But if you have a trust, then you avoid that, if that makes sense to you. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Not only that, I'm not done yet. Asset protection. I tell you, what does it protect? Insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. It protects your fixed assets, your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market account, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed index annuities, also your variable assets, your real estate, your qualified money, your IRAs, your 401ks, Other investments, avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000, and in 1 year it appreciates to $1 million. According to some real estate brokers saying what they got to say to make the sale, that's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that when your property is in a trust over 3 decades of experience. Attention, business owners. I said attention, business owners. You got to protect your assets. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And then I'm going to say it slower because some people say I talk too fast. Find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. Big C, you sound like you having some heat stroke. No, someone said to read it slower, so that's why I'm saying it slower. Well, say it faster, you don't scare me, Big C. You can find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. When you do, you want to give it some praise. I say give it praise, 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 because we all need somebody to lean on. And when people say, well, Big C, why would we trust you? I'm glad you asked. Unlike a lot of companies, they don't give you their references. You got to ask them for their references. In fact, when I went and had my blood drawn today, and I was referred there by my doctor, they said go down to this company, and they told me the company. I called them, went down there, and they pulled 9 gallons of blood out of my system, and they said, man, that's some good looking blood. It looked like barbecue sauce. I said, why don't you let me say something for these ribs? They said, how much for the ribs? They said $250. I said, $250? I said, well, I don't need a napkin, just put it in my hand. Yeah, okay, I told you I'm dealing with a heat stroke, okay? At the same time, if you are not dealing with a heat stroke, you got to understand what we do with our trust, and I trust that you'll understand. We have some great endorsements. One of the great endorsements for the RDC team is the late James Gomez, who advised governors-led change in California nursing homes. He served on Golden One's board of directors. The great late Jim Gomez was Sacramento, California Association of Health Facilities, the CEO of the California Association of Health Facilities. For 21 years doing his thing, he endorsed the RDC team. Also, the late Robert Carlson, he was the chief legal mind of CalPERS. He endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, we have attorney George Jones. He's the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce. Not only that, he's the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Not only that, we have Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. Not only that, we have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. Not only that, we have Mr. Ray Dela Cruz, the CEO of Resource Development Consultant, Inc. And I told you about the great endorsements that we have with the late Robert Carlson and also the late Jim Gomez, if that makes sense to you. And not only that, we have Mr. Alex Dela Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits. He endorses the RDC team. Not only that, we have Charlton Curry. Charlton Big C avoiding heat stroke Curry. I endorse the RDC team. Co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. Also, business development consultant for the RDC team. I also own Big C Sports Podcast, and I endorse the RDC team. But not only that, we have Double O, the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, consultant for the RDC team, and she has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on Access Sacramento. And when I say that, you can give it all praise. I say give it all praise, praise, praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Everybody has the belief and what they should do to get help and referrals and resources, just like me going to the doctor today. Men, make sure you go to the doctor and get your doctor's appointments. Now, coming up, they told me they'll call me in about 7 days because they want to schedule my colonoscopy. What's colonoscopy, Big C? You got to Google it. It's where they get little split you, if that makes sense to you. They're going to do my colonoscopy. And I asked them, I said, I got Google. I said, how about I do my own colonoscopy? They said, no, we don't recommend that, sir. I said, well, I think I'll take their advice. And so I asked them, well, is it possible that I film my colonoscopy? You know, I want some entertainment. They said, well, you're gonna be asleep, sir, but we'll videotape it. They said, we never had that asked before, can someone film their colonoscopy? I said, well, can I at least have a video of what you find? They said, yeah, I'm sure we can arrange that, sir, but no, you have to take that up with the doctor. So not only I'm going to have a colonoscopy coming up soon, they said I can even get a videotape of it. I'm going to put it on the internet. I want to charge $25 per view. It's going to be my OnlyFans account. Big C OnlyFans colonoscopy. I tell you, it's the heat stroke, folks. It's the heat stroke. Somebody call a doctor. I already went to one. If that makes sense to you. I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast, but I also had fun with my doctor today. They call me Carlton. I said, Charlton. They said, Charleston? I said, no, Charlton like Charlton Heston. They said, oh, Carlton. I said, yeah, ma'am, yeah. Life is funny. But even though it's funny, some things are not funny because we got to get our reparations. And I'm not joking about that. In fact, they said one of the requirements for reparations, you may have to get a colonoscopy. I said, how long do they last? I've only had one. And they said, man, you can tell if I'm telling the truth. They gave me the injection to take away whatever they didn't want me to remember. And they said, count backwards from 10 to 1. I said, 10, 9, 8, 7. And then I woke up. I woke up in the waiting room. It had already been done. So, life is funny. I used to joke with my brother Todd. I said, Todd, when I got my colonoscopy, they said, go into the room and then lay down on the table and the doctor will come in and see you. And I said, okay, I did that. And the guy came in and said, close, count the 10 to 1. 10, 9, 8, 7. I said, you don't have a robe? Are you sure you're the doctor? And I looked up on the sign as I was about to pass out. It said janitorial room. Be careful, people. It's a heat stroke. Janitors are not qualified. They're not qualified to do a colonoscopy. Don't just trust anybody to do your colonoscopy. That's not something you Google on the internet. That's my story to thinking with it. Okay, I feel a little bit loopy because they took 9 gallons of my blood. But I'm not too loopy to do what I always do. I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because they say a mind and blood is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber. She's the Secretary of the State of California, and she worked together with the California Governor Gavin Newsom to put together the California Reparations Task Force, and I really do appreciate that. I love giving them praise. I want to give praise to our attorney, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She's also an expert when it comes to reparative justice, and I want to give praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown, the Vice Chair. I want to give him praise. He's actually appeared on the Big C Sports Podcast about 2 months ago. I want to give him praise. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford because this gentleman, he's so brilliant. He actually crafted name, image, and likeness that helps college student athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. Not only that, he also helped craft the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing young black children as the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. I really do appreciate him. And he's also a part of the California Reparations Task Force. When he spoke to the Senate and the Assembly, it was like when God told Moses in Exodus 10, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses said, well, who do I tell him to send me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And that was what Senator Bradford was like when God said to Senator Bradford, he said, go down into the California State Senate and the Assembly and tell him I said, pass reparations. And Senator Bradford said to God, he said, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And now they passed 1303, 1331, and 1050. If that makes sense to you. I want to just make sure that we have so many bills that are out there, 1403, 1331, 1050. There's oftentimes, if you have little faith, you think, oh, that's not going to happen. It's already happening, and I just appreciate the smart minds. It's not going to be everybody that gets reparations. Some people, they get what they deserve, and they get what they believe in. If you don't believe in it, then don't even study it. But for those who believe in it, study it. I love some of my Jewish brethren, they believe in reparations because they're getting them. You can't tell one of them that they don't believe in reparations because they're getting the money, and they're getting the resources set up by the United States Justice Department and also Congress. It's called the Just Act. You can't tell one of them brethren not to believe in reparations. Some of my Native American brethren, you can't tell them not to believe in reparations. They have those Indian casinos right now because that's part of the reparations package. You can't tell Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, who's part of the reparations task force, not to believe in reparations. As a Japanese American, his family got reparations. But some of the people that deserve it, you can't even tell them that they're going to get reparations. They don't believe in it. That's crazy. But that's my story. I'm taking with it. I want to give Senator Bradford praise. I love doing that. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving them praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. She specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis. He's brilliant, professor at California, Berkeley. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise, as I mentioned, to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Part of a Japanese American descendants. He also received his family reparations. I want to give also praise to Brother Aleem Shabazz of the Crescent Sports Media. And he actually filmed the reparations task force meeting, the final meeting last year. I love giving him praise. Give them all praise, praise, praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Now, before I get into some sports, I got a lot of sports to cover, but I want to make sure that I let you hear from one of the most brilliant speakers in the history of the universe on why we need reparations. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it, murdered them, murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I love talking about reparations. To me, it's just something that's necessary, like getting your blood work done is necessary. Maybe I should have done it on a day when it's not 100 or 9,000 degrees. But at the same time, you do what you need to do to stay healthy, and that's what I'm doing. Get your checkups, men and women. Don't believe that you don't need checkups and you can stay healthy. It's part of life, and that's what I love doing. I want to say, when it comes to some of the things in the world of sports, and I know there's a lot of times when people have their own favorite players, their own favorite athletes, but when you think about the United States Olympics, why was Jaylen Brown left off Team USA? Does that make sense? Team USA Executive Director Grant Hill, he denied speculation that NBA Finals MVP Jaylen Brown, whose father was on Big C Sports podcast last month before the NBA Finals started, that he was left off the Olympic team because of the Celtics star's past criticism of Nike. What does Nike have to do with selecting Team USA? Brown's teammate Derek White, who was not the NBA Finals MVP. Derek White was not the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, was named to Team USA on Wednesday as a replacement for Kawhi Leonard. Jason Tatum's also on Team USA. Jaylen Brown's not. He's one of the top paid players in the NBA. I think it was a shame. We're supposed to have our best players. It's a lot like Isaiah Thomas when he was left off the team back in the day. I guess Chuck Daly and didn't stand up for him enough. And obviously, some players didn't want him on it. But no one can tell me that Isaiah Thomas was not one of the best players in the NBA and worthy of an Olympic selection. And I feel that maybe the same thing happened with Jaylen Brown. Many were surprised that Brown was not selected for the roster opening, apparently including Brown himself. He first shared a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, and then Brown later tagged Nike and said, this is what we're doing. And I agree with him. Why would you not have the NBA Finals MVP, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, the MVP of the Boston Celtics? People know that he's the best player on the Celtics and definitely one of the best players in the NBA. How is he not good enough to make the Olympic team? So when Nike's founder was critical of Kyrie Irving in 2022, Jaylen Brown commented, since when did Nike care about ethics? And it's in the past. Now, Brown has worn Nike sneakers at times, but on Christmas Day did so without the iconic swoosh on the side. And some in the basketball world, they speculated that's why Brown was left off of Team USA. It's not Team Nike, it's Team USA. So following the team's first exhibition game Wednesday, Hill said that was not the case. You get 12 spots, you have to build a team, Hill said, and one of the hardest things is leaving people off the roster that he's a fan of and that he looks forward to watching throughout the season. Throughout the playoffs, guys who've been in finals MVPs, guys who've been a part of the program, guys who've won gold medals, guys who I respect, admire, and enjoy watching. But the responsibility that I have is to put together a team, and a team that complements each other, a team that fits a team that will give us the best opportunity for success. You mean like the guy that just won the NBA championship, Big C? Yeah. Grant Hill said his responsibility is to put together a team that will give us the best opportunity for success. So you take two guys from the Boston Celtics that were not part of the NBA Finals MVP, and you leave off a guy that was. I mean, everybody has their own thoughts about it. At the same time, whatever theories might be out there, they're just that, but it's my responsibility, and it's tough. It's tough to have conversations, tell people that they're not on the team. Isaiah Thomas knows about that. He should have been on the team back in the day with Michael Jordan, etc. But Hill also joked that he wore a fila for much of his career, but was still an Olympian himself. He said decisions were made with one thing in mind, and that's winning a gold medal. So why would you not choose a guy that was the NBA Finals MVP, Big C? I don't know. You got to ask Grant Hill. He said he's trying to win, and he's trying to put together the right pieces that fit and give us a chance to win. Well, to me, you would think having a guy that was NBA Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, that might give you a start in putting together a team that can win. I want winners. I want people who want to win. You want to crown them? Crown them. Well, they did crowning Jaylen Brown as the NBA Finals MVP. But I guess that's not good enough for the Team USA. On the court, the road to the Paris Olympics started with a win For USA basketball, Anthony Davis dropped 13 points. Stephen Curry added 12 points. And the United States opened his tune-up schedule for the Paris games by topping, "Oh, Canada, our home and native land." It was 86-72 on Wednesday night. The great Drew Holiday of the Boston Celtics dropped 11 points. Anthony Davis finished with 10 for the U.S. team, which has 4 more exhibitions before getting ready to fly over to France. R.J. Barrett, he dropped 12 points for Canada, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and then Dylan Brooks also dropped 10 points each. It was President Barack Obama. He was at the game. It were as many NBA coaches and dozens of NBA and USA basketball dignitaries in town for the Federation's 50th anniversary celebration, among them Jerry Colangelo, Mike Krzyzewski, the great Jim Boeheim, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Don Staley, Lisa Leslie, Teresa Edwards, Swin Cash, Lindsey Whalen, and many, many more. And the total attendance was actually impressive, 20,757, a record for any game at T-Mobile Arena, USA basketball said. So Team USA, they actually had a cold start. They could have brought that cold start to California. Imagine being in Las Vegas having a cold start when it's 117 degrees outside. That makes no sense. At the same time, Canada, they get paid to play too. The U.S. was down 11-1 midway within the first quarter, having missed its first 6 shots. The rest of the half, the U.S. was up 40, and then Canada 22, and the Americans shot 18 for 28. That's 64% in that span. The lead was 41-33 at the break, and the Americans stretched it to 69-54 going into the fourth. It was easy to see where the Americans, who've been together for less than a week, are still figuring things out. There were at least 4 occasions where simple passes ended up in the first row of the seats because something thought that a zig was a zag. Don't say zigzag in Vegas. Please don't say zigzag in Vegas. He has a certain smell to it, if that makes sense to him. But the great Jason Tatum, he helped spark Team USA. The second unit for the U.S. team, the great Anthony Davis, the great Bam Adebayo, the great Anthony Edwards, and Tyrese Halliburton, as well as the great Jason Tatum, was particularly impressive. Each of those 5 players had a plus-minus of 10 or better, meaning the U.S. outscored Canada by at least 10 points with them on the floor. And they're all great players. I still feel Jaylen Brown should have been one of those players. He's the NBA Finals MVP. He's the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. What do you mean you want to put together a team that gives you the best chance to win without having MVPs? We don't want to have Michael Jordan because he doesn't give us the best chance to win. That doesn't make any sense. At the same time, only the Americans can trot out a lineup of bench players at the Olympics, and all of them being all-stars. That fivesome has 21 combined all-star nods, 2 NBA champions in Davis and Tatum, and 2 perennial all-defensive players in Davis and Adebayo. It's clearly not a typical second unit. And remember, the United States did not have the great Kevin Durant. He has a calf strain, and Derek White not yet with the team, available on Wednesday. Now, Drew Holiday, as good as Drew Holiday is, he's not better than Jaylen Brown. But the first starting lineup of the summer rolled out by U.S. coach Steve Kerr, and the great Stephen Curry, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, and LeBron James, as well as great Joel Embiid. It certainly could change going forward, but if last year is any indication, it's a clear view into Kerr's thinking right now. And Kerr said, man, this team is almost as good as my team that won 2 championships in 3 years, if that makes sense. The great Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, that team, that's the team you would talk about, if that makes sense to you. But Kerr has cautioned in the past, not about being too up and reading too much into the lineups, because he can't please everybody. He has to figure it out. But if you're in, you got to play to win. I heard Steph Curry talk about in an interview, and you just want to win. They want to win a championship. They want to win a medal. And it's not about who gets more playing time. It's about playing as a team. And of course, Steph Curry would say that because he's one of the only guys that was willing to acquiesce to another player coming to the team and being the front guy when Kevin Durant came to the Golden State Warriors back in the day. So I love the way Steph Curry, his leadership, he has that servant leadership quality that a lot of guys don't have. So at the same time, the first 5 in the exhibition game last summer going into the World Cup, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., and also Brandon Ingram and Anthony Edwards were the starters in the tournament opener against New Zealand. So no matter what you think about NBA basketball, the fact that Jaylen Brown is not on the team. They have Derek White that replaced the great Kawhi Leonard, who has a hard time staying healthy. But again, I understand the thought of Team USA. You probably have about 40 guys that are worthy of playing. But you can't put all 40 guys. They got 12, a roster of 12. But how you leave out the NBA Finals MVP, I don't understand that. In the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, I don't understand that when you have other guys who were not the NBA Finals MVP or the Eastern or Western Conference Finals MVP. I don't understand that. But that's their story, and they got to stick with it. I do want to play just a little tidbit of what happened in some of the Boston media, and hopefully you can hear it with your own two ears and tell me what you think, if that makes sense to you.
How about this? Canadians up 11-1.
Nice ball fake.
Steph. He'll stop the bleeding.
Barrett had it too, Ken. The one and only easy kick.
Edwards double pump off the glass and in.
I love him. How about this kid? Strong. LeBron liking his physical approach at the rim. Good finish.
Shaking off some early rust. Edwards.
Nice run by Bam on that ball screen. The dive. The find. Big time. Good play right here. Ball screen at the top, and Edwards could have shot that too. Good movement.
Americans not very good taking care of the basketball in the first quarter. 8 turnovers.
Or can he get up? Look, this kid beat.
Edwards creating space.
Nice screen.
16-foot fade. How about the bump? The end. 28 to go. Here in the second. By LeBron.
Did not give up on it.
Recovered by Curry. Embiid. Drives. Kicks. Booker. Rising fire.
Position to block, and right here, not giving up. Is that reminiscent how he runs people down? They get the flow the other way. Embiid, you mentioned his passing.
Olynyk.
Nice steal.
Blocked by Holiday, one of the best defenders in the NBA.
Amen.
James looking to get on track. Skip pass, Booker.
Nice ball fake.
Pull up off the bounce, and he banks it down.
They get it side to side.
To the corner. Murray.
Look at this look. That help. He felt that as soon as he could. This guy's been doing it for a long time. 39 years of age. Still in magnificent shape alongside him like a drill that
John Paxson.
Yeah. Nice slip and a fire. Pretty. That's small ball right now.
Skip pass. Edwards. Next pass. Halliburton dumps it down.
This kid can pass. Hubbard has done a nice job rallying to the box area.
Edwards sets his feet. Got it.
Good ball fake, but also the cut.
In that series.
Yeah, he did.
Drew Holiday gave him business.
A little lingerie on the deck.
American team.
Now you're talking about a guy 6'8". Look at the poise, the balance, ability to discard and finish at the rim, and he can knock those trays down with the best of them.
Ball, the rebounding. We won the rebounding margin in that first half. We struggled with that in the World Cup last season as Stephen Curry knocks down a 6, and certainly Jerry Colangelo and the work that he and Coach K did building the program and Stephen losing our way. And a lot of these guys, he's coached Stephen Curry, coached LeBron James, Coach Kevin. Other than working with Bill Raftery, one of the highlights of my career.
Curry, 3.
He's on a run right now.
Curry reloads.
That's more and more of the great Steph Curry in NBA basketball getting ready for the Olympics. I love NBA basketball. Jaylen Brown not on the team. I think that's a little bit of a... I don't think that's right when the NBA Finals MVP, as good as Jaylen Brown is and one of the highest paid players in the NBA, not on there. I mean, it's just everybody has their own opinion, and you gotta stick with it. I do want to touch on, before I get off, on the Big C Sports Podcast today, on the beautiful July the 11th, 2024. I want to talk a little bit about African Americans at the Olympic Games, and there's a National Museum of African American History and Culture, and just like I wish with the USA, Team USA, we're coming up on the election. And I know we have this thing about equality for everybody. I would just love if some of the players were able to talk about reparations. Because the whole world knows that it's necessary, it's the right thing to do. And don't tell me, oh, it's not the right thing, it's too controversial. No, slavery was controversial, and the country did it anyway from 1619 to 1865. What a way to bring the world together. You know, Michael Jordan and the Bulls back in the day, they won 6 championships. Some people said it was controversial, he was too braggadocious. And they said he was the first competitor. And maybe he was, but no more than Steph Curry or LeBron James. But right now, around the world, these beautiful, intelligent black men, I know they're beautiful, powerful businessmen. It'd be great if they took that time to honor ancestry. I know Steph Curry thinks, or he said happy birthday to his daughter. And oftentimes we have ancestry that never got thanked for anything. And with reparations being at the top of the mind for smart people and good people, you know, you people, it would be great if our men were not so muzzled. That just makes sense to me. The United Nations believes in reparations. I wonder what other countries think about the United States of America when they know we don't talk about it. Not everybody's wealthy. It's just interesting. I want to bring some thoughts to the participation of African Americans at the Olympic Games. The Olympics and the Paralympic Games are the world's biggest stage for athletes. Many African Americans, this high level of visibility has become a platform for not just their talents and abilities, but for also their community, their values, and their advocacy. And that's why I would love for reparations to be a talk for good people. Now, if you're not a good person, if you don't believe in egalitarianism, then I'm not talking to you. But think about the advocacy in the United Nations and the Olympics, and their voices, many prominent athletes that use their hard-won reputations to draw attention to the systemic adversity faced by African American communities and individuals with differing backgrounds, like the Kerner Commission reflected 60 years ago. They reflect the resiliency and optimism that are richly woven into the African American experience. It doesn't mean that other people can't be a part of it, whether you're white, or black, or Hispanic, Native American. During the recent Summer Olympics and Paralympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, which had been postponed from last summer due to COVID-19, we once again witnessed the ability of African American athletes. It's important that I say this because I am one. Set and rise and raise the standards of excellence in their respective fields. From the great Alex and Felix, to the great Keyshawn Davis, to Crystal Dunn, to Deja Young, African American athletes participated in a broad array of competitive sports in the 2021 Games. And their efforts also built upon the long tradition of black athletes whose triumphs have always represented more than just a medal. African American athletes of all abilities have been blazing trails since the Olympic Games were first held in the United States in 1904, when the great hurdler George Coleman Pogue became the first African American to win an Olympic gold medal. And countless others followed, including Wilma Rudolph, the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in a single set of Olympic Games in 1960, and the great Michael Jordan and other NBA players who formed the 1992 Dream Team. These early African American Olympians, however, also experienced the painful duality of being celebrated for their triumphant athletic talents while facing discrimination both on the field and in their everyday lives. The great Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals in the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin, becoming the first African American in track and field history to do so in a single Olympics. Despite his accomplishment, he continued to have great success. Owens faced humiliating treatment throughout his career, as he later recounted. This is why we should be talking about reparations, people. As he later recounted, when I came back to my native country, I could not ride the front of the bus. You could not ride the front of the bus. I had to go to the back door. I couldn't live where I wanted. I was not invited to the White House to shake hands with the president. It would take several decades of struggle and the civil rights movement before the nation began to experience measurable changes. You got to think about that. The success of today's black athletes, it rests in no small part on the shoulders of the African American Olympians and Paralympians who, in addition to achieving record-breaking and historic victories, has consistently used their international platforms to raise awareness of racial inequality in the United States and to advocate for social justice. After winning the gold medals for boxing in the 1960 Olympic Games, the great Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest, formerly known as Cassius Clay. We love Big C Sports, by the way, before Big C Sports even came on the map. Formerly known as Cassius Clay, became a humanitarian icon who spoke candidly about the plight of African Americans. Runners Tommy Smith and John Carlos famously raised their gloved fist in the 1968 Olympic Games in protest against racial discrimination. Why not talk about reparations now? What are you afraid of? Great people who opened doors for you to be at the Olympics to this day. Great people that went through crap. Who is so ominous that you won't even talk about reparations? United Nations is for it. California is for it. We gotta be willing to find people who are not afraid. Because good people are supporting reparations, black and white. And these sports league owners, there's a movie called Clipped. It's on FX, and it talked about Don Sterling being removed as ownership of the LA Clippers because of racism. And now we have people saying they're afraid to stand up and do the right thing. If you say you believed in Muhammad Ali, why not champion reparations? Because the good people are going to make it happen. You can't tell me that the bad people are going to say it's not going to happen and don't talk about it. If you're a decent person, why would you not talk about the descendants of Holocaust and getting reparations? Why would you not talk about Japanese Americans getting reparations from the internment camps in the United States? Why would you not say Native Americans deserve reparations? Don't be afraid. And don't just be cheered as an athlete. As Big C Sports Podcast, I talk about it all the time. It's the right thing to do. And if you don't have the guts, at least champion California Reparations Task Force. And even the state of New York has a Reparations Task Force. Don't let them just use you. We just sent home, or not we just sent home, but the Say Hey kid, Willie Mays, passed away last month. And they talked about all the garbage he had to go through as an athlete. But he also held his head high. Some of our young men, you're the leaders, you're the vanguards. If you're afraid, at least champion what California Senator Stephen Bradford's doing. And California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I hope you win all your games. I hope you represent the USA, the USA, the USA. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let some of your loves get behind the wheel of the car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who loves you, or someone who somebody else loves. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. I want to always say I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could see things in people just by looking at them. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And I could always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coaching all boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying, rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Albert Curry, they were pastors. They owned 3 churches. They also owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. They also owned 40 acres of land. I was 8 years old, walking through the hallway about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touch me on my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Well, what are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Cookies and baby crap, what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long time. She said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak." And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice. Sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying go forward. A voracious reader. In fact, he used to always say, don't look back because you don't have much backside, if that makes sense to you. I said, I love my backside, Todd. but one of our favorite movies was Pulp Fiction of all movies. In that scene where Vin Rames told Bruce Willis before the big fight, he said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, Flip. And so Bruce Willis said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. He told him, that's jingling sensation you feeling? Well, that's just pride blubbing with you. And what Bruce Willis was told by Vin Rames, he said, flop, pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. Well, that's one of our favorite scenes in the movie. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Don't worry about pride when you stand on reparations. It's the right thing to do. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe, started the Head Start program. My mama did that. But Daisy actually graduated with 2 degrees with honors. They have the same middle name. 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy said at the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back at Salem Media, it became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network because the 2 black men in the crew, they called us the Dream Team. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against him will prosper. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, well, you just Google it. And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. Now on 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. But that's before it was even on the air. Now it's on 4 TV platforms streaming, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn with a church buddy saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say welcome to the show. As we nominated Big C Sports Podcast, I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. And that's how they say you talk to God. And that's why I scream so loud. I'm trying to get God to listen. And maybe if God just listen, then I'll too be the next billionaire. If that makes sense. I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. Somebody sing a song about that. If that makes sense to you. I do want to say I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I always like to end with this statement. There's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever go through that crap. If anybody's hitting you, I only hit you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you out, I only choked you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's kicking you, I only kicked you because it made me mad. Call 911. People who love you, they don't kick you, they don't slap you, they don't choke you out. You need more leader in your life. Leader is an acronym for love is the answer. Don't let anyone do that to you. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always say, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, he said, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to chant my reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. There was no one greater than Muhammad Ali. I love saying on every Big C Sports podcast, I want to honor President Abraham Lincoln because he's the only president that ever championed reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. Let's honor him as we close out today's show. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it 2 more times. Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.